Okay. All right. So we have lease option. We have owner finance or seller finance. What's the next?
World famous, right? Subject to deals.
Subject to.
The funny thing is that most people just assume, right? And it's kind of a pun there because we're not going to assume anything, but they're going to assume that it's subject to is just for subject to the existing lien or existing loan on the property. Well, you can buy a property subject to anything. Now, are you able to get title insurance on it? Will be a completely different scenario, right? That'll be different, but in theory, right? Subject to deal, all that means is you're approaching a seller that has a current mortgage on the property. Now, this could mean that they could have no equity, which is obviously a great seller, or this could also mean that they do have equity, which means that you'd be acquiring it subject to the first lien on the property, but then you would then create a secondary mortgage for the seller, and there'd be seller financing that component. It's a little bit of a mixed bag there. So if I'm just looking at like a pure, just to completely diversify here, a pure subject to deal, little to no money in equity. If they sold the property, they would have to come out of pocket or they're behind on payments. And now you're stepping in, you're going to close on the property. You're going to then maintain or cover the current mortgage that's in place. That mortgage will still remain attached to the seller's credit. And then you're just making monthly payments until in which you cash that property out. I always tell people, if you're buying a property with little to no equity, two things need to happen. One is the market has to appreciate. Now, if you're selling on rent to own, you can already manufacture equity because I can sell to somebody in 3 to 5 years from now at a higher price than what I bought it for, even if the retail market today says it's only worth this amount, at what you bought it for. Secondly, you also need the mortgage balance to go down, right? So that's why the number one asset right now and why everybody's talking about subject to deals is because there's lots and lots and lots of low interest rates. It's roughly, I think it's like 85% of all loans in the United States are 5% or less, or 4/5. The countries are 5% or less.
Bye to those. We probably won't be seeing those again for a long time with new loans. Yeah,
for sure. And we can talk about how these interest rates, even today, are affecting, the other side, the exit strategy here in a minute. But there's still, there's still 4/5 of the United States that have those loans. Now, I could go out there and raise hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and still have, and we'll still have millions of properties that have those low interest rates. So that's a huge advantage right now. As you as a real estate investor, if you know how to structure these things and do it morally and ethically and properly, because there's lots of opportunities out there for low interest rate loans. And there's lots of people right now that are willing to sell their property with those low interest rate loans because of death, divorce, financial challenges, real estate challenges. And now all you got to do is be that calming voice that will come in and help them transition and whatever is happening in their life. I can just tell you, just in the state of Massachusetts, I've acquired a couple real estate deals subject to, because of the taxes have increased so much in the last 3 years since the original buyer bought it, that they no longer can afford that monthly payment. If somebody buys a house for $1,400 a month, and now all of a sudden it's $1,800 a month, that affordability or their monthly income is not increasing as quickly as the taxes are going up. So lots and lots of huge opportunities right now for you to come in, and I don't want to use the word savior, but for you to come in and really be a problem solver. And of course, you're going to benefit from doing so. So, those are the three main strategies that we use.
3 main acquisition strategies. So, what's funny is when I was first getting involved in understanding the lingo behind real estate, people were saying, what's your acquisition strategy? What's your and I was like, I kind of understand it, but I kind of don't. I was like, okay, acquisition strategy, how do I acquire? And it's another way to think about it is how am I getting these properties? How am I obtaining these properties? That's the strategy. Is one of them is going to be subject to, the next one's going to be owner or seller finance, and then lease options.
Yep.
But also you can use lease options as what to do after you've already acquired it.
Yeah, 100%. And then you also can do right now is you can use those terms in which we just talked about, and you can assign those terms to somebody as well. I know that's extremely popular right now, and I love those investors because I don't have to go find some of these deals. I just pay somebody to go do so, especially if you have some private money or you have some extra capital coming from other deals. You can get into these deals for very low, down payments because somebody's just going to go tie up a subject to deal, put the whole thing together, and then sell it to you for $10,000, $15,000. And now you don't have to go find them as well. So that's another opportunity too. So if you're sitting there like, all right, well, if I got a deal and the seller wants money down, or there's a wholesaler involved, or there's a realtor involved, and I don't have the money to get into it, tie up the terms and then go find somebody like myself and have somebody purchase it, because there's definitely a need for that right now as well.
I wish I would have known you. I did my first subject to deal, I would say around September of 2023, give or take. And I ended up assigning it to a friend of mine who's going to move in there with his girlfriend. But knowing what I know now, I probably would have kept it for myself and done a lease option, and probably would have, milked it a little bit more. But that's okay. We got future ones coming. So
there's lots of them. Lots of them coming right now.
Yeah.
Love it. Then if I'm talking about my exit, in my mind, I'm really doing one or two things. If it's multifamilies that we're buying creatively, then I'm buying, holding them, improving them over time, and then keeping those. That'd be the ideal, or eventually sell them. But if I'm in the single family space, which a lot of people, that's where they start, it's very unlikely I'm going to buy and hold it unless it has significant cash flow on it, because I buy within like a 2.5 hour radius. Being right in central Massachusetts, I'll buy up to as far north as New Hampshire, to all the way down south to like New Haven, all the way to Rhode Island, in that radius as of right now. But also with Smart Real Estate Coach, we buy in 80 plus markets. So really, it's hard to get a property management company when you're so spread instead of a very specific targeted area, because in the space that I'm in, I'm buying real estate based upon the terms of the agreement. I'm not necessarily based upon the area, the location, population, like all of that stuff. Like those are secondary factors to me. First and foremost, it's the terms of the agreement. Then it's the condition of the property. Then it's like the location. But I can tell you that when I'm selling on rent to own, it almost doesn't matter, because I am probably the only person, if not one of a very select group of people, that is selling a rent to own property in a majority of the towns and or cities, and wherever I'm located and that property is located. So, and that eliminates any type of management. So when I say that, the condition of the property will be secondary after the terms, because I already know that I can cash flow it. I can sell it for a higher price. I already understand that before I even go to see the property. So that's why we're primarily exiting there. It would have to be near perfect in order for me to just rent it, or it'd have to be very local to where I'm at to rent it.